Good morning. If you've switched on, you're probably thinking about your business and where direction it's going and what's happened in the last 18 months. But just very quickly, why are we here? My name's Gregory. I'm the Ops Director of the Dorset Growth Hub, and Dorothy Brown is here, who is Even Keel's specialist. Even Keel are insolvency practitioners, but it's not just about going bust. It's about trying to sort things out when they get a bit difficult. So if you're here, you've probably seen an email from the BCP or the Gateway or us asking you to look at yourself and look at your business and what's happened over the last 18 months. Running a business is a tricky thing at the best of times, and the last 18 months have really not been the best of times. And it came to light that the research has been done to think that businesses are going to struggle in October when a lot of business support from the government is ending. Furlough will end, and there are lots of other things. You've probably taken on more debt than you had before the whole COVID thing started. So what was a difficult process, which is running a business on any day. I know when I ran an engineering business, I used to suffer really severely from what I call PST. I had 40 engineers working for me and I had PST, pre-salary tension. So there's always worry about money and stuff, whatever the situation. So what we're here to do is just to try and give you an opportunity to look at 5 or so things that you might be able to do if you're worrying about the business and the future and the cash flow, and an opportunity to just think of the things. It's not a nice thing to talk about. You don't want to announce to your suppliers that you've got any financial problems, because otherwise there can be problems coming from that. It's your own business. It's personally quite embarrassing to go out there and say, I've got a problem. It's your baby, and you might not even talk to your partner about it, or you're at home very often working now at the moment, so you can't distance yourself from your job. Your job and your family life might be totally intertwined. So a lot of things you might not want to talk about in open court. So just if you can log on to this, or you have logged on to this chat, and Dorothy can give you 5 or 6 tips of things that you might want to think about to help yourself in this situation. Business has been amazing. Lots of you have made huge changes. You've gone online, you've changed your businesses, pivoted, and all sorts of amazing stuff. But there comes a point when you have to sit down and think, I wonder what I need to do next. And what we don't want you to do is to fall at the last fence when perhaps we're out of the wood. I mean, the economy's grown by 4.8% in the last quarter. So things are going forward. So don't fall at the last fence, and see if we can give you some helps and tips as to where to go from here. So Dorothy, over to you. What are the things that people need to think about that would help in the situation if they got worries? What topics they need to address?
I think the first thing to do is to look at your cash flow. Make sure that you know where your money is going to come from, and can you pay everything. So we know that there's going to be difficulties perhaps in paying the bounce back loans. Have you talked to your bank? Do you realise that you can extend it over a period of time? You might even want to say, right, we know that come 6 months' time, things are probably going to look better, so let's have a 6-month holiday. So talk to your bank. That's really important. And I think talking to somebody is important as well. So take bank, HM Revenue and Customs. Are you opening those brown envelopes? You and I often talk about the brown envelope situation. Open them, see what's inside. They're not chasing people as yet. So see if you can go to them and have a time to pay if that's going to be issues. Make sure you do pay ongoing, but you have an opportunity there to take a break, take a step back from that. The major one that I would say, if you've got your issues with your cash flow and with going forward and you're worried about your debt, is talk to your accountant. Your accountant will give you great advice, probably the similar advice. Talk to somebody, but talk to them, see where you're going, get a decent cash flow in place, make sure that you fully understand where you're going to get your money from. And if you think you've got difficulties, they will be able to work with you going forward. So it might be that you need to do a little bit of jiggery-pokery in terms of paying suppliers. Maybe this one a bit more important to you than that one. Well, just have a word. See if they will take a little bit of a holiday as well, so that there's people out there.
So the message is, I think, if you talk to people, they're human beings as well, and they're uncomfortable conversations, aren't they? But if they don't hear anything, they're liable to assume the worst.
Yeah.
If you talk to them and tell them, I can offer you this much this month, and go into a plan with your suppliers, they're likely they know that if you go bankrupt, they're not going to get anything.
That's it.
So they will talk to you. So the other question that's quite topical, I was talking to a restaurateur last night who said he'd only survived because he had a terrific landlord who they'd come to some arrangement. Is there a problem with landlords and rent for buildings generally?
It would appear that there are some that are like that have been absolutely on the ball and know that if they don't come to an agreement with their tenants, then they're not going to have tenants, and then the situation spirals for them. There are others who've said, no, I want my money. And that's been the issue. So again, is there somewhere you've got a break clause in the lease? Do you need to be in that building? Are you going to be hybrid working? And do you need to think about where you're at? So there's a lot of space around, a lot of opportunities around. So again, maybe it's looking around to see if you and your landlord can come to some agreement. Please do so. Please, again, talk to your landlord, because what they don't want is an empty space, because empty space is empty money for them. So.
But can your landlord, I mean, if you have a problem with the rent, what can the landlord do? I mean, I understand they can't actually serve you notice at the moment due to the legislation.
Not at the moment, but that's coming to an end as well. So you're probably looking at March next year. So that's not exactly long in terms of trading, is it? So you come to March next year, and then we're going to, I suspect, see landlords taking the opportunities that they can do. But if you, again, head it off at the pass, you'll still be in business, and they've got somebody sitting there paying something rather than nothing.
So we've talked about the HMRC, talked about talking to your bank and especially your bounce-back loans and your landlord. We've talked about suppliers as well. Is there anything else that people could be doing that would help?
I think if they could find themselves like a business buddy. Now, I know that there are various places that you can go to for business buddies. That might help. So you've got a business mentor to work with you, especially if you're effectively a sole trader or a sole director and you haven't got somebody to talk to. But certainly make sure that you've got somebody. And it's hard. I know it's hard, but do have somebody.
Yeah, certainly the Chamber had We've Got Your Six, I think, a scheme. You could look for a Dorset business mentor, possibly. We've got help at the Growth Hub. But I think definitely, rather than bottling it all up and putting your head in the sand, talk to somebody. And I think what we're saying is that if you want to talk to somebody in confidence, completely in confidence, you and I are available, and then we can send you on to wherever might be most helpful. Obviously, I can't give financial advice. Dorothy can. But do talk to someone. It's a lonely old place. And don't hit the buffers now when you've done such a lot of hard work and got through everything. So my number will be there, which will be a totally confidential number. And Dorothy's number is there. Please contact us, have a chat. And if you then feel we can do something to help you or take you forward, then we certainly will. But I hope it's useful. Hope there are some tips here that have helped you look at some things you can do. But the message is, don't leave the envelopes unopened on the desk. That's the worst possible thing you can do. Talk to your suppliers, talk to people, and don't hold it all inside. You agree?
I certainly do agree with that one. Yeah.